Welcome to the Q. My name is Lisa Maroney. I'm the Director of Business Development for the town of Chelmsford. And we're back here again with another great episode with some really exciting news to share with the community. But first, I'd like to introduce my standard go-to co-host for the Q show, Jen Melanson. Hi, Jen.
Like a bad penny, I just keep turning up,
Right? What does that mean? I don't know.
I don't know. Everybody says it though.
Yeah. So we've got some really special guests here today, really important, credible employer in the crossroads, and some new announcements. And I do have a burning question, which I'll share. But before I actually say the company name, because that has changed recently, and I'll leave that to them to introduce their name, their branding, who they are, and what they do that's so important. I'm just going to pose a question over, so as they introduce themselves, they can share some of their thoughts. And what I'm interested to hear is, why and how do you think your location in the Chelmsford Crossroads helps your business to be so successful here in Chelmsford? So Jean, welcome. Please introduce yourself and share some thoughts.
Well, thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Jen. We're not the bad penny. We want to be the shiny, we're the shiny new thing. And we have a shiny new thing. So we're so excited to be with you. So I'm Jean Phelps, and with me is Dan Esdale, and I'll let Dan introduce himself in a minute. So we are Incompass Human Services. Ta-da! Brand new name. Same company, brand new name. So we used to be Lifelinks Class, and a year ago we were Lifelinks. So there's been a lot of change for us. We did a merger about 15 months ago, and after the merger of Lifelinks and Class, we kind of mashed up our name and had this mouthful of a name, Lifelinks Class. And on October 19th, we were so happy to invite people to our parking lot for an awesome little ceremony, very socially distant, but a lot of fun, and Lisa joined us. We unveiled our new name as Incompass Human Services.
We are officially Incompass Human Services.
In a nutshell, we are one of the largest human service providers in the greater Lowell area. We've been around for, oh my God, almost 65 years now. Started in the mid-50s by families who were seeking options for their family members to have a life that looks like the life that everybody should be living in the community. And for all these many years, that's been the focus of our services and supports. And there's a vernacular that goes along with what we do. And basically, we provide services to allow people to live all aspects of their life. So we support people to live, work, and play in their communities with whatever resources they need in order to actually achieve their goals. So we're super excited to be Incompass Human Services. It's a culmination of many, many months of effort that went into figuring out who we are and who we want to be in the future, and finding a name and a brand that was going to walk with us as we continue to grow and provide services to the community. So I'm going to let Dan introduce himself, and then I'm going to come back to your question, Lisa, about why our location in the Crossroads is so important. So Dan.
Thanks, Jean. Thanks, Lisa. Thanks, Jen. It's great to be here. Dan Esdale, the Chief Marketing Officer of what is now Incompass Human Services. Really, Jean, I think, said it all, but my role here over the past year really has been focused on the agency itself, the brand of the agency, the work that the agency is doing, and I think most importantly, the impact of the work that the agency is doing. And I think, Lisa, you said it really great, up front in terms of sort of important news for the community, because I mean, the work that we are doing here in Chelmsford at Omni Way, really does impact the Chelmsford community as a whole, right? Sort of this concept, the inclusive work that we're doing, that inclusive mindset that we have, we'd like to think that that does sort of impact the community as a whole. We partner with employers in the Chelmsford area and part of our employment program. So, the folks who are at what is now now, Incompass Human Services, are very much out in the community, members of the community, and our role really is to empower them to live their best lives. It's really that simple.
So to answer Lisa's question about why and how our location in the Crossroads is so important to us as an organization that has the mission that we have, serving the people that we serve. So let's just set the Wayback Machine, which is that we've been in the Chelmsford community for, I don't know, maybe 30 years, because before we moved to this side of Chelmsford, we were in North Chelmsford at 55 Middlesex Street for a number of years in the space that now is where the Montessori school is. So that was our space originally. So we've had our roots in Chelmsford for a very long time. When we now 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, we started to sort of outgrow the space that we were at on Middlesex. And we knew that we needed to sort of shift in terms of the population that we were supporting in our what we use this building for, and maybe that would help people to understand. So this building is about 80,000 square feet plus or minus. The entire first floor, so a little bit more than 40,000 square feet, is devoted to our day services. And we, every single day, Monday through Friday, we have individuals who are transported to us via community providers, transportation providers, and we provide a range of habilitative and rehabilitative supports and services to people within this building. And pre-pandemic, we had the capacity, and we were serving upwards of 150 people a day. So it was a real vital sort of hub for us. And then the second floor of the building, about 3/4 of that second floor, is our administrative space for administrative offices and our program services that are not our day services. All have a home on the second floor here. So about 10 years ago, we were looking for a place to relocate our day services, and our administrative offices were separate from our programs, and we really wanted to combine what we did administratively with what we do in terms of our mission every single day. And we originally were on, the original space that we found was on Mill Road, literally one block over, and it was a great location for the amount of time that we were there. But we very quickly grew out of that space. We didn't anticipate that to happen, but that was the thing that was kind of cool about coming to this side of Chelmsford, is that the ease of access, the fact that we have as many vehicles, about 40 a day, that come twice a day to drop people off and pick people up. The fact that those vehicles could access us quickly and easily right off of Route 3, that we could get our folks from pretty diverse geographic areas very quickly to our doors, that there were good transportation links for people who needed to access public transportation. And maybe we were insightful in terms of making our decision to move over here, but we felt like this was a part of the world in terms of the Chelmsford community, that there was going to be maybe some interesting developments happening. And again, this was way before, the Crossroads project even had sort of come to fruition in terms of where the town was going. But we felt that there were lots of businesses in this area that could potentially be good partners for us. So as we were going to be expanding our services, thinking about possibly creating opportunities for people to find jobs in the community who are receiving supports from us, but also to be part of something larger. So the fact that originally we had the space on Mill Road, and then when we subsequently needed to again move because we were growing and we were literally busting at the seams, the Omni Way properties were just such a great opportunity for us. Originally, we had looked at one of the other buildings in the park and found that this building was going to be able to meet our needs just in terms of what we needed for fit up. And we have very particular needs, specifically around making sure that there's adequate physical space for people, but also we need lots of bathrooms and lots of access to water. Never more important than now during the time of COVID, when everybody literally is washing their hands about 15 times a day. But to make sure that we had a building that was going to be able to meet our needs for the long haul. So it feels like we're not going to grow out of this space in a while. And so it's been really nice over the last few years to sort of get to know our neighbors and to feel like we're part of a growing community And granted, we don't really know where we're going in terms of what's happening with this community and how many members we're going to be eventually and what it's all going to look like. But to be able to be sort of part of the front end of that and to be able to influence and inform that process going forward is something that is super exciting for us. Plus, it really, for the individuals who we support, it really normalizes their life and their day. So just like any of the other people who every morning get up, get in their cars and come to work in the park, they are doing the same thing. Now, someone else might be driving them and they may not be typically working, but they're participating in a routine and a daily rhythm of life that looks very much like what anybody else would be experiencing in the community. And that's really very special for us.
I'm sure Jen has a lot of perspective to contribute. Jean, thank you so much for sharing some of that history. I wasn't really fully aware. I've been in Chelmsford, believe it or not, coming on to year 3, which is kind of the fastest 3 years ever. But we are very happy to be closely partnered with your company. And in talking about partners, in some ways, you've kind of partnered with Bianco Catering, right? Already?
Yes.
It's already
Yes.
happening.
Yep.
And
Yep.
you've got a lot of great business partners around you already. And the municipal team is working really hard at business attraction, bringing in more into the crossroads. But I'm just going to have Jen comment a little bit on the work that she does in terms of community services for Chelmsford and how we are all so very connected in the best interest of this area.
Yeah, so, Jean and Dan, it's so great to meet you, and it's hard to believe that I've been here a little over a year, and somehow we have not connected yet. But here we are, and I was on your website and did a little poking around, and the services that you're providing in the community are just so vital, so important to the individuals that you're serving. And so, I just applaud the work that you're doing. I didn't realize you had been around for so long. So just, tremendous kudos to you folks for running such an important service to people who really need it. And as you said, really deserve that dignity and that being afforded the ability to live life like everybody else is living life. So, since this show started as a result of the quarantine and the pandemic and all that, I have to ask about COVID and how that impacted the services that you're providing. And maybe you can tell us a little bit about how that's impacting some of the partnerships that you've developed in the community. And so kind of give us a little overview of what things look like now for you.
But could I just briefly interrupt, because I'm not even sure if Jean and Dan actually thoroughly know what you do, Jen, for the community and all of the new inroads that you've made since you arrived as well.
Yeah, thanks.
Clearly we
Lisa.
don't. We haven't connected yet, so I'm anxious to hear that.
Right. So, and I don't know, like I said, I feel like I'm the bad penny that's always here. So isn't everybody sick of hearing me talk about what I do, So
I'm the marketing guy over here, Jen. You don't have to worry about that.
True enough. Okay. So, so I'm the community services coordinator for the town of Chelmsford. My position was created a little over a year ago. I came on board in July of 2019, and my office was created really as a way to do just as my job title says, and to coordinate community services within the town, but also within the greater Lowell area as well. So, I'm kind of a jack of all trades in this building, and I do everything from meeting with individual residents to help connect them to whatever services they might need. And that could look like anything from fuel assistance to getting hooked up with food stamps, to help with the medical insurance, to being an advocate and a liaison with the schools. I mean, it's really anything that falls under that social services umbrella is really what I'm hoping to address with folks. In addition to that, I'm working with community partners, both in Chelmsford and in the wider Greater Lowell area, serving on a number of task forces through Greater Lowell to make sure that Chelmsford's interests are, represented within the area, and making sure that I know what services are available to our residents out there so that I can connect folks when they're in need. And then, kind of the other really neat aspect of my job is identifying where there are gaps in services for our residents and then looking at ways to fill those gaps. So that's a little bit about me. And as you can imagine, COVID has affected my job just like it's affected everybody's job now. So, I'm curious to hear how it's been for you guys.
It's been wild.
Yeah.
And Jen, when this is over, we're gonna get you out here so that you can see what we do face to face, and so you can actually meet with some of our team.
Yeah,
Because
perfect.
I think a lot of what we do, we actually can help you and vice versa.
Yeah,
So
perfect.
so the question was, how has COVID affected us? And in some ways, we've just continued to do what we do, support people to live their lives, and we've supported people to learn and adjust and accommodate to living in a world with a pandemic, which is part and parcel of our mission. Our mission is to support people to have a life that looks just like everybody else's, even in the midst of a crisis. So much of what we have been doing has been, supporting people. And because we offer this incredible range of services and supports, parts of our organization just sort of continue doing what they're doing. So we have a number of group homes in the Greater Lowell area. And we keep on adding homes. There's more homes coming online every. So the 70 or so residents who live in those homes stopped going to day program. And that's probably the biggest impact that happened is when, in March, around the 16th of March, when the governor declared the state of emergency and kind of put everything into shutdown, we stopped providing our day services. So this building here at Omni Way was pretty much, closed for all intents and purposes. We did have some people who, because of the nature of their jobs, did come into the building on a routine and regular basis. And we remained closed until the very end of August when we started to reopen. We've got some very strict guidance in place in terms of the day service, provision of day services and social distancing requirements, hence the pool noodles that we talked about earlier, but keeping people a pool noodle's length apart, as well as all kinds of sanitation and hygiene and protocols that are in place, and routine and monitoring and screening every day for program participants. So that's been the biggest change, because while we stopped providing in-person on-site day services, within days of the governor saying, no, you can't open your doors, we moved most of our programming virtually and put it up online, and people are receiving services and still staying connected to the agency through these kinds of platforms where we can run groups and we can connect with people. So our group homes continue to run. We provided virtual services. We continue to support, there's a number of individuals who live in the community, either with their families or individually, who we have continued to provide support to. Our staff are considered essential healthcare workers, so they have been out in the community throughout this entire pandemic, continuing to support people. And I think, Jen, probably much like you, as time has gone on, what we've seen in the general population regarding COVID fatigue, what we've seen in terms of people seeming to struggle more and more around finances, food insecurity, and all of those things have come back to us. Our family support program is specifically designed to support families who have an individual family member with an intellectual or developmental disability. We have been able to provide, some cash assistance and other things to families to help get them through. We think it's probably nowhere near enough. And again, because of how we are funded, which is primarily through grants and contracts with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, we are somewhat limited in the entire breadth and scope of what we can do, because we are limited by the dollars that are available to us. And that's probably the biggest challenge for us right now, is a budgetary one. So just like every other business that's struggling right now, cash flow is compromised, revenue is compromised, but the need is certainly not is certainly not going away. So we've been retooling and trying to figure out how do we accommodate to the changes that are occurring as a result of the pandemic, and trying to read the tea leaves in terms of how much of the change that we're engaged in right now is going to be permanent change going forward. And also doing that within the context of this fabulous brand that we've managed to launch in the middle of this, which we had started pre-pandemic. So it was like, let's just finish it. Let's give ourselves the lift that we need. A strategic plan that says we've got big goals for the future, and making sure that we're still going to sort of be able to work towards that, but at the same time realizing that we are in a very difficult spot financially, and making sure that sort of, that's something that we keep our eye on the prize with. So those have been, so in many ways, we don't look any different, Dan, I don't think, from any other agency. I don't know.
No, I think the only thing I would add to that is perspective, right? So I'm new to the human services space. I've been here about a year, and one of the things that has struck me, and it kind of very much goes to what you were saying, Jen, at the front end of this conversation, is the sort of the dedication of the direct support professionals, right? They are sort of motivated by the people that they serve. And one of the things that really came out of this process of branding, and like Jean said, pre-pandemic, was, really looking at sort of the folks who do that frontline work, who are out in the community. And one of the observations I've had, and I think it's been one of the things with the pandemic that maybe has been a positive, is it's kind of put a little bit more focus on their impact, right? So they do their work day in, day out. They're essential workers as defined by the Commonwealth. People in group homes that's their home, right? They do need the care and support to live an independent life. And they just do it all without fanfare, right? So we have all these celebrations of frontline workers, and in a lot of ways the direct support professionals serving this vulnerable population was a little invisible, right? So one of the things that's come out of this process, come out of this pandemic, come out of this branding initiative is looking at that, I think, through a different lens. And we've come up with this persona, if you will, for the folks who are doing that work, care champion. And now, as part of Incompass Human Services, these are Encompass care champions. So they're out in the community, they're doing the work, they're doing it whether there's a pandemic or no pandemic. And, under Jean's leadership, obviously we've taken the necessary steps, PPE, policies, all the things that you would expect to keep our staff and the individuals they serve safe and healthy during a pandemic. But it's not hyperbole to say that this has been a transformational experience for me just over the course of the year. I mean, I think people who are in this space throughout their career might take for granted the impact of what they do, and me not having that perspective and coming in here, it has changed me. I mean, it has fundamentally changed me, and that's something I can't overstate. And I think that as we look at a pandemic and the shift to virtual and everything that these folks have done, the focus has always been on the vulnerable people that they're supporting.
So this has been a great discussion, and I think we're going to wrap it up unless there's any other burning questions that need to be discussed on the queue.
I just want to say that I love that term, care champion. And so I expect, Lisa, that you will have a nice bright red shirt with a big letter C for me on my desk next week, with a cape that I can wear for our next episode.
Work on it.
Because I think we're all care champions. I wish Karen
capes. I didn't even think of that here. Okay,
I know,
capes.
capes. We just thought of masks, but we didn't think about capes.
You need capes, absolutely. Tall boots,
All of them.
maybe
Right.
some bracelets.
I don't know if you're interested in the last 2 minutes we have here, but I don't know if I can even share my screen or whatever. But we do have a 1-minute video that we kind of produced as part of this. That's just sort of shows our care champions in action. I don't know if your audience will be interested in seeing that or not, if I can even do that now, but I'll throw it out there.
Absolutely, we'll include that. I know that our amazing producer here of Chelmsford Telemedia will include that.
Oh, great. Okay.
And if you could share that, that would be great. And I just want to wrap it up and say thank you so much. And we look forward to a very long partnership with Encompass. We are part of your team. Please, consider us anytime you need anything. We are here for you, and really really look forward to our next conversations. And thanks very much. Stay healthy. And
Hey, Lisa and Jen,
Thank
just
you.
before we wrap, I just want to say thank you to you two. The work that you're doing at the town level is so important, and I appreciate sort of the kudos sent our way. I just want you to know that we appreciate the work that you and all your colleagues in the town of Chelmsford are doing during this difficult time as well. It definitely deserves to be called out. So just on behalf of everybody over here, I just want to say, thank you. And thank you to everybody who you're working with at Town Hall in Chelmsford.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Excellent. It's been a wonderful opportunity, and I also want to echo what Dan said in terms of we feel very well partnered with the town of Chelmsford, and this is our home, so thank you very much for being part of that with us.
It's
We are
definitely a
so
special
proud.
community.
very proud to be your host community. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. And so we're going to wrap it up, and please watch the video about Encompass.
Everyone has a right to be happy, respected, engaged, valued, and included. An intellectual or developmental disability shouldn't change that. At Encompass, we believe in a community where everyone is welcome and supported, where through innovation, expertise, and open hearts, we open doors to connection, happiness, and fulfillment. No matter what kind of life challenge someone is facing, every person deserves the opportunity to have a purpose and a place in the world. We're here to help them find it. Encompass Human Services. With open hearts, we open doors.